Nolan, you started out with.
New season, and this time the first season for what is technically going to become 2021. Welcome to the preseason for the iRacing Stock Car Association, and the first of what will be 4 seasons here in 2021. So, of course, in 2020, one more month to go before this year finally closes on off. And my goodness, this is going to be one heck of a race here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 134 laps. And he's set to go run here today. The field just sent it off on their pace lap. I'm Nolan Rempel. Al Kozlowski signed me in the commentary box for today. Al, my goodness, it's very, very good to be back. We missed Steve Valley, unfortunately, in Richmond, but didn't miss a whole too much there. Hopefully, we should get off to a good start here for this one.
Yeah, I think we're going to be just fine here. We have a very nice field tonight. Very nice, but everybody's got a new package underneath them, so we're probably, I don't know what to expect tonight. Ellen, I really don't. I guess we'll just watch and see. Typically, Vegas is pretty eventful. This one might be more than pretty eventful. It might be extremely eventful. So let's watch, see what we got going on. Let's run through the field real quick and see we've got who we got on the pole here. My ATVO is not working tonight, Nolan, so I'm going to be kind of blindsided here.
Well, one of the rookies is actually starting on the pole tonight. Travis Manning is on the pole. Chris Johnson down to second place. Another rookie, Greg Wachinski in third. Wayne Grossi fourth. Only really got time for the first 3 rows. Justin Belmonte rounding out the top 5 with Levine in 6th place. I mean, you got about like 14 rookies coming into this season, so a lot of new faces to come in. No doubt they're going to be looking to see what they can throw up against our defending champion, Boyd Hogan.
Yeah, and when you say rookies, Nolan, I mean, we're not talking about rookies to iRacing. That's rookies to the iRacing Stock Car Association. They're not per se rookies. I mean, they're just new to the iRacing Stock Car Association, so everybody watching knows that. As we go green.
Green flag is out. A great jump for Travis Manning off of the line. Chris Johnson not able to get to the inside. Wachinski managed to get up on the inside of the number 48 machine. Belmonte looks to be trying to follow suit around the inside. Slides up a little bit down the back straightaway. Almost collects Wayne Grossi. So far, though, we are green flag racing here in Las Vegas. Looks to be a very clean opening lap here. Good way to start the preseason.
Yeah, I'm watching back here a little further in the pack. We've got James Mullins in the 6th machine. He is trying to make his way through to the front. Really clean passes there. Looks like he's got his setup. Didn't skip a beat from last season before the update that we all endured a couple days ago through iRacing.
One other driver we're going to need to keep an eye on is, of course, Boyd Hogan, because he didn't set a qualifying lap down to the 14th position right now. So Hogan has got a lot of work to do if he wants to get up there and really fight for a win here in the preseason. Of course, being a preseason race, points don't really matter for this race. This is just so a lot of these drivers can kind of get their footing, and so some of the newer faces can get a bit of a feel about how it's going to be like to race around some of the regulars, the veterans of the series, so to speak.
Well, Nolan, Boyd Hogan has been a little bit of a snake here when it comes to the first starts of these races. He usually lays back and lets everybody get confident that they're going to pull off a win, and then he'll come through that field like everybody's in reverse. So don't count Boyd Hogan out yet.
Well, he is going to have to scramble if he's going to want to pick up the positions, but you're right, long way to go, still 130 laps to go in this race. Wayne Grossi completing the pass on Matthew Wilson for the 4th position. Wayne Grossi trying to continue to move himself up within the top 5. He's going to see if he can now run down one of the other newcomers to the series, Justin Belmonte, who's still holding in 3rd.
We're watching this 1st and 2nd up here, Travis Manning and Greg Wachinski. They are running pretty comparable lap times here, and he's just not even a 2/10 behind. Greg is 2/10 behind Travis Manning, so one wrong move Travis makes, and he's going to capitalize on it. But Justin Belmonte in that 30 machine is sitting right behind Greg, waiting for the same thing to happen that Greg is waiting for out of Travis. So 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and 4th, it's a pretty tight race between all them guys. They're the top 5, actually. Justin Levine in that 19 sitting there, and he is just patiently watching to see what Wayne Grossi does, so he can make a move maybe to the inside there. For the preferred line, I'm going to guess here on these passes, is going to be the inside line. Nobody wants to be close to that wall with this new package. The new dynamic package, I believe it pulls you into that wall now, so you can stand a chance of putting some damage on this car, and I do not know what that new damage would do with this new update that iRacing put out, if it'll hurt you or help you.
Well, sometimes it could be a little bit of both. In fact, could hurt you in some places and help you out in others. Looks like the top four started to break away here. Belmonte is really trying to force the issue around the outside.
Oh.
Really using the outside wall, and then Wayne Gross has to go base into the inside line as well. So Belmonte is really trying to fight that outside line, see if he can get maybe some momentum going, take the Larson line, if you will.
Yeah, Wayne Gross is going to look like he's fighting for second there, and then third is following right behind him to take third away. And dragging the number 2, that Greg Wachinski, he is dropping back. He had a good running car in the beginning, but he might be tightening up here. We do have 8 laps on these tires right now, and we'll start to see a lot of these cars getting tight, which means they'll push more towards the wall on the exit of a turn.
I mean, hey, some drivers set their cars up so they'll be very good in the short run pace, and then they kind of bank on having some early cautions to allow themselves to continue to maintain the pace in front. And they are not so good when it comes to the long run pace. That might be what's happening to Wachinski here. As you see, Justin Quigley is falling back. He is now going to lose a spot to Justin Levine as well.
Yeah, he might be doing a preservation thing here. He might be trying to preserve his tires. I'm going to hope that's the case. But we also can't leave out the 48 of Chris Johnson. He was pretty fast in practice, so I imagine he's probably pulling off one of those Boyd Hogan sneakies and just trying to wait it out and see how everybody's going to react in front of him before he gets into the mix of this thing. Speaking of Boyd Hogan, he's moved himself up into the 12th position, so he's moved up a couple, and he again is just doing that. We've got James Mullins. He's moved into the 8th position. He started out 15th. Casey Clark in that 39 machine. He started out 13th, and he's moved up into the 9th. And Kenny Powell started 8th, and he is falling back in the 10th position.
Battle for third. Looks like that might be heated up here pretty soon. Levine has caught Belmonte, so we'll have to see what the veteran can do against the rookie. Belmonte is going to give him the inside line. Levine is going to dive him way down the inside line. Belmonte trying to fight the outside line as he gets right up by the wall on corner exit from 2, and nothing Levine can do about it. He's going to be forced to maybe duck back in line, or you can try to come back on him here in turn number 3, and it looks like now Belmonte's going to be forced to give up the spot.
Yeah, you don't want to try to pass somebody on that high line. I said that earlier. You want to, that low line is your best friend. So if you got somebody that snuck their nose in on the low line, you have 2 choices. Let them have it or spin out. That's all you got.
Top 2 breakaway up at the front. Wayne Grossi and Travis Manning really just kind of in a field of their own at this point in time. Those 2 drivers are about a quarter of a second apart, and then it's 6/10 back to the 3rd position as well. So the top 2 are definitely having a very, very good run up there, kind of just running on their lonesome. Neither driver really pushing, nobody trying to battle very hard up there. So it seems like they're also going for maybe of a preservation thing, realizing we don't need to fight too early. No, we still got well over 100 laps to go.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of them are going to just be waiting it out here. We got looks like the 20, that's 28 getting passed by James in a 6 machine here. That's a 48 of Chris Johnson. He's on the outside. No, that's 28 of Matthew Wilson. They've got these numbers all mixed up. Some of these drivers' paint schemes aren't showing up. I don't know if we've got a trading paints issue or what's going on here, but some of these drivers, their numbers and their paint schemes aren't showing up correctly tonight for some reason. So those that may be watching, your favorite driver out there thinking, why are they driving just a plain black car? It's not their fault. They didn't paint it that way. It's just the program that's set up to make that show up on your screen is not working correctly tonight.
Well, I mean, Chris Johnson is in the midst of that group as well. He's actually up there in the 5th position, and he's trying to run away from James Mullins, who is just absolutely hounding him down here. Mullins really trying to see if he can get him moved on the backside. Both drivers onto the apron, down to the trial. Well, you are allowed to do that here, and in fact, it's very, very commonplace to see drivers dipping wheels below the white line down that front straightaway through the trial, rather than cross back up to the wall to diamond off turn 1.
That's what they're trying to do, is cool off those tires. That's a smart move. Go down there. It's that straightaway speed. It kind of cools off the tires because they're going to come into that turn and they're going to heat them right back up. Mullins and that 6 machine's on the inside of Chris Johnson. Chris got a little squirrely there. 48, he is going to try to fight on the outside, and he's going to give it to him. So James Mullins has moved himself up into the 5th position. That means he has moved 10 positions in 16 laps. But it looks like Chris Johnson is not going to give up easy. He's going to try to follow him right to the inside as he comes to the bumper of Justin Belmonte in that 30 machine. James Mullins is going to try to get in there to the inside, and I thought for certain that 48 machine was going to stay right on the bumper of James Mullins and sneak in there with him.
And Mullins, he's going to complete the pass on Belmonte. Here's through 1 and 2. Nothing that the 30 machine can do about it. He's going to actually clip the wall of a turn number 2, so Belmonte might lose out here as well to Chris Johnson. If Johnson can get a good run around that middle group through 3 and 4, and he is going to get the good run that he needs, so Belmonte going to lose 2 for 2. Unfortunately for him, behind these guys, Boyd Hogan is continuing his charge up the field. Looks like he's done playing around. He is now up into about the 7th position.
Well, you do have to realize we have Boyd Hogan is roughly about 6 seconds behind the leader. Okay, Travis Manning has checked out to a new zip code. He is 1.5 seconds in front of second place Justin Levine in that 19 machine. And behind, in third, is Wayne Grossi, and he is almost 2 seconds behind the leader. So in order for Boyd to get up there to him, which he's made consistent ground here, he's still about 5.5 seconds behind Travis Manning, the leader, in that 114 turn.
The first side-by-side battle in the field is right now for positions just outside the top 10. Matthew Wilson trying to hang on around John Mullins, who is still trying to find his way to the inside. Kenny Powell is in the mix of this group as well in the 24 car. Larry Reed and Casey Clark Jr. Oh, look out! Jr. flying sideways!
He saved it!
Saves the car! Holy cow!
What an amazing save. That was a great move. That was some car control there. That's Casey Clark Jr. He's a wheel man. We can see that already. Great things we're going to see from this guy this season. If he can hold that and spin it completely around, that's some talent right there.
That is absolutely unbelievable. Talk about cat-like reflexes in order to properly save a car like that. Definitely not an easy feat in the slightest. Hey, he's lost quite a bit of time, but I mean, I think he'll take some overheated tires and some lost time compared to, well, about 15 minutes worth of damages he's got to fix up in the pits. So, I mean, hey, take what you can get. That was a very lucky escape.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. And he's got some cars in front of him. Casey Clark does that are getting loose as well. You know, driving like that is like throwing a whole bunch of marbles on the ground, putting on a pair of tank dancing shoes and try to walk over them. It takes some talent.
John Mullins is still trying to find his way around Curtis Sawyer now. This is battling for the 10th position. Sawyer got by Mullins the last lap by, and Mullins has not been able to pass him back since. So the 64 machine really kind of taking the middle line, kind of taking the philosophy of enter high, exit low sort of deal. So he's trying to see if maybe he can get some speed on that number 10 or the number 9 machine just up ahead of him. So far though, it's looked a bit difficult for him.
Well, it looks like our Greg Wachinski that started in third, he's dropped back to 14th. He's dropped like a boat anchor. His setup must be a short run setup. And these are long runs. We're at 23 laps, and then some people will say that's not really a long run. Well, that is quite long for some folks at this track, because maybe they expect more caution to come out. But these guys are professionals that's in the iRacing Stock Car Association. These aren't guys that started last year on iRacing and they tricked their way up into being an A-class driver. These are guys that have been in this circuit for years. So they know what they're doing. They know how to handle it. As you just seen with Casey Clark, some of them have some extremely good car control talent there. We're watching Boyd Hogan. Boyd Hogan has started in the 14th. He's moved his way up into 6th. That's 8 positions. Biggest move of the race this far is James Mullins in that number 6 machine that started 15th, and he is now up in the 4th position, and he is slowly closing on the 3rd position of Wayne Grossi. Well, their leader, Travis Manning, Nolan, he is just checked out. He is 3 seconds in front of second place. I mean, he is just literally out there.
Well, I was talking with some of you guys after Richmond actually about this, about how, you know, we were thinking, is there anybody that would be able to really rival Boyd Hogan based on how dominant he was last season? Well, it looks like the answer comes in the form of one Travis Manning, who looks like he might be able to really give Hogan a run for his money here if he can continue to, you know, pull at these types of performances race after race. That would definitely be very, very huge for him. mover of the race is actually up 16 spots where he started today, but still down in 8th. It's actually Christopher Hill in the number 11 machine. He's moved up 16 spots where he has started earlier today. So, tell you what, I'm pretty sure that's a very good feeling as Mullins passes Wayne Grossi for 3rd.
Wow, you're all right, Nolan. I missed that. Yes, he has moved on up there. It looks like Christopher Hill in that 11 machine is trying to work his way to the front. As James Mullins in the 6 machine takes 3rd away from Wayne Grossi. Now, we don't know what kind of competition anybody's going to put on anybody this season, given off of this race. Because what we're watching right now is a race full of lack of, what do I want to call it, practice. Because we just had an update on iRacing 2 days ago where they threw a curveball at all of us. And they changed a whole bunch of things on the setups that everybody's accustomed to doing, now making it so it's illegal. It won't pass. So everybody that had it set up from Vegas, let's say last Thursday, they were confident with it. When they came in on Tuesday and iRacing did an update, that setup is garbage. You have to start all over. So we're talking about some of these drivers might have had to sit yesterday and today building a whole new setup, putting thousands of laps on a setup trying to get it to what it's doing right now.
I would like to take a look back and actually touch on that point as well, as Kenny Powell and Wayne Grossi, Larry Reed are both going at it down to the turn number 1. But I'd like to touch on what you said again. I mean, that's what happens when you have these big aerodynamic package changes that's been happening with the stock cars. Because I believe they moved, correct me if I'm wrong, but they moved from being a very high downforce package to a low downforce package, if memory serves me right. So all of a sudden, these cars are a lot more mechanically grip dependent. They're not so much air dependent. So it really is going to, it'll take a lot for these guys to be able to adjust to the cars and make sure they can get things figured out all over again. Not to mention the tire model updates as well that have been taking place over the last update.
Yeah, I had a chance to chat with one of the drivers in his race this evening before the race. He expressed his frustrations with it. Used to be able to run a 4,000 or 5,000 pound right rear spring. And they did that because it gave them a lot more stability on the rear and more grip. And now they have gotten away with that. iRacing has done away with that little trick, and it's making it more realistic, more closer to the real NASCAR cars, the Xfinity cars. It's making it more realistic. So when these guys get in here in these cars, it's almost like they're strapping themselves in a 650 horsepower NASCAR. I mean, it's that realistic for them. So everything they're experiencing right now, iRacing is trying to get closer and closer to the real life experience.
32 laps in, still no caution in the race. The field pretty much spread out just about the entire track, or at least a good half of the track at least. Your race leader continues to check out lap after lap. The gap now 5 seconds from Manning down to Justin Levine. Levine still trying to fend off James Mullins behind. Boyd Hogan, meanwhile, has moved up into the top 5. He's right now trying to see if he can reel in Chris Johnson as well. So some really big movers in today's race. The 3 biggest movers are, of course, Hill, who's up 16th to 8th, James Mullins, who's up 12 to 3rd, and Boyd Hogan, who's up 9 places to 5th.
Yeah, we're watching James Mullins right now as he is knocking on the back door of Justin Levine, who is doing everything in his power to keep it off the wall, keep it on the track, keep it straight. Justin has got his hands full right now. That 19 machine, if you watch him, I'm watching from the back of, or from the in car of James Mullins as he just is hounding Justin Levine in that 19 car. And I don't know if Justin has got driving from his rear mirror, what the heck he's got going on, but he is having a hard time keeping that thing going straight and around the corners. It looks like Justin Levine's going to get him here.
Yep, Mullins going to go out the inside here down the back straightaway. I think this is a part of the struggles you were talking about how difficult it is for some drivers to really be able to properly fight in the cars with the updated aero and tire model packages. You said a lot of drivers are experiencing frustration. Levine, no doubt, feeling frustrated that time as he was forced to let Mullins get the pass on him, but could potentially see Levine come back on him here if he could get up the inside. I don't think, though, that 19 car is going to be able to have the speed to go and do it without getting fresh rubber on it.
I'm watching there Chris Johnson in that 48 machine, and he seems like he's just kind of motoring right along. I mean, he hasn't dropped too far back. As I say that, it looks like Boyd Hogan in 96 is coming around him to take away 4th, but Chris is, I think he either is on preservation mode, or he's just kind of knows this is all my car has. I just need to get as much as I can. I don't want to push it and catch a wall. No, and I don't think we had an opportunity tonight to welcome. We have a new race sponsor, ButtKicker. And I think that's a league sponsor for iRacing Stock Car Association. For this season, we're going to be running a ButtKicker. Do you know much about that setup?
It is indeed. They have decided to sponsor the Cup Series for the iRacing Stock Car Association. So for the first season of 2021, it's going to be officially titled the ISCA ButtKicker Cup Series. So that's definitely a name and a half, and I'm pretty sure butt kicking is something that your defending champion Boyd Hogan is getting ready to do tonight. I mean, there are a couple drives tonight that have been doing nothing but kicking butt and taking names all night long. No doubt something we're going to be seeing all throughout the season, hopefully right through to a very exciting finale.
Well, for those fans watching this race tonight, ButtKicker is not just a statement. It's a device that sim racers can mount on their rigs that gives them more of an amplified vibrational feeling from the car, from the sounds of the car. It's a device that mounts either underneath the seat or somewhere on their rig, where certain activities that happen in the car, maybe you hit the wall or your engine rumbling, it gives you like a little vibration to make you almost feel like you are actually inside of the race car. So that's what this ButtKicker system is. It's at I believe it's ButtKicker.com. I'm not sure what the website is. I can find out right quick if let me pull that up, see if I can pull that up and tell us. I do believe it's ButtKicker.com is where you can find this setup, but I guarantee if you Google it, you'll see all about it. It's nothing new. It's just new to the racing season. The ButtKicker has put their devices for years on certain, rides at amusement parks, movie theaters. They've put this device in there, so you get that full 3D feeling. When something happens, dinosaurs running through the woods, perhaps, you get the feel that the ground is moving. That's what this ButtKicker device does.
Yeah, we might want to start talking about pit strategy here as well, Al, because we are getting close.
We get there. I was thinking, Nolan, what are you thinking? Maybe 50, 60 laps, bud? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, these guys got 4 sets of tires for the whole race. That's including the set they started on, plus 3 changes. So if they wanted to kind of alternate this out, they could realistically come down for tires every 33 laps or so, and they'd be able to make it through and get all the tire sets in that way. Of course, that's obviously not what we typically see in a race like this. That's something you might more see at Dover, where tires can really fall away quickly. So fuel window wise, maybe about, I think you're right, maybe about the 50, 60 lap range, we should start seeing people considering to come down. I know we've already had some guys that have come down. I know Stephen James was actually down in the pit lane earlier because he had a bit of a tank slapper and hit the wall off of 2. Got too much damage to continue though, so he pulled it off about 15 laps ago. So it's going to be interesting to see how the pit strategy plays out, because that's typically where we start to see the first bouts of carnage take place, isn't it?
Well, we can watch and kind of tell and judge when somebody will have to pit is by the fall off of their lap times. We watched Travis Manning, leader. He started out the race at like 29 second laps, 29.5s, something like that, with a little bit of draft. He is only down. His last lap, he ran a 31.081. Now, technically, he is by himself. He is 6 seconds in front of second place. He has no draft. So he's got about a second and a half fall off from his start. That's not a huge difference. So he doesn't have much tire wear right now.
Then you go back and look at some guys like probably could take a look at maybe Greg Wyszynski, who's down 13 for where he started tonight. He was also kind of similar range at 29.7s. He's down to 31.8s every lap though. So Wyszynski is down almost 2 seconds every lap from where he started. So that again might be down to the setup, but it definitely shows that some drivers, especially guys like Greg Wyszynski, are definitely starting to struggle with their cars now.
Well, the tire wear could be a number of different things. It could be the setup you have on there and your aggressiveness behind the wheel. I know when I'm behind this wheel, I could have the same setup as Travis Manning. And I go out there and for 5 or 6 laps, I'm competitive with Travis. And then all of a sudden, my laps, I'll be falling away from him. And that's because I'm more aggressive in the corners and the turns than he is, and he knows how to preserve his equipment better. As he's showing you right now, he's still pulling away. He's almost 7 seconds in front of James Mullins, and James is not closing on him. You know, we're running Travis Manning in the 114. He pulled a 31.283. James Mullen, last time he came by, was a 269. Yep. So he's about two 1,000ths of a second faster. However, he's not gaining on him. Boyd Hogan, he's busting. Boyd Hogan is running 31.160s. So Boyd is actually faster in third position than Travis Manning is right now. He's got an 8-second gap between him, and that 1/10 of a second is not going to get that 8-second gap closed up that fast.
Paul Olson has just come down to pit lane. He was just lapped by Travis Manning earlier this lap. Had a close call in the back straightaway, so he's down to pit lane. John Mullins is also down to the lane. He was on the lead lap, and I believe just inside the top 10 as a matter of fact. So seems the pit window is started to open on up for the guys on tires. Most of the field still staying out, though, so this is going to be very, very interesting to see how these guys are going to react. Oh, heads up, one car really sliding. I don't know what the name is. It's car number 12, 14.619. Don't know what the heck that kind of a name's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's Jeremy Garrison. For some reason, iRacing has messed up. They got him registered as 14.619, and that's Jeremy Garrison in that 12 machine.
Jeremy Garrison, got it. He just had a big hit with the outside wall, actually down the front straightaway as Travis Manning was passing and got a bit too close to the tri-oval wall. Hit that and then almost lost it on the apron. Nearly took the leader out with him.
And it looks like the leader is sitting here and he's coming around the inside of the 25. And that would be Jeff Shute, who just goes down a lap. So now we have 18 cars still left on the lead lap. Now, an interesting thing, as Travis starts to endure what we call lap traffic, cars that he's going to put a lap down, his times between him and James Mullins are shrinking because he has to pick the proper passing times and the passing zones to make certain that these drivers in front of him don't do anything sporadic to take him out, because he looks like he has a car that is to beat tonight. So he has to pick these spots, and when he does this, it slows him down. So these guys behind him, Boyd Hogan and James Mullins, they're starting to slowly pick up and catch him. Now, some people will say, well, Boyd and James also have to pass the same cars eventually. That's true, but some people give more consideration to second and third place than they give the leader. As we get closer and closer to the end of this race, most of the drivers that are going to go a lap down, they're going to be courteous and they're going to go high or they're going to go low and let the leaders pass and make sure they can do it safely without any competition. Right now, some drivers aren't doing it because we have teammates in here. Even though they're all on the same league, there are teams. Okay, so just like the real NASCAR, there's teams in here. There's Reaper. We've got the Reaper team is in here. And I don't know what other teams, because we have a lot of new names in here, but they all have teammates in here. So some of them may try.
Hang on, sorry, we just had a big incident on the back straightaway. Jaden Profit just had to go halfway down to the wall below the white line to avoid, one of the drivers that slacked the wall just in front of him, the 30 machine of Justin Belmonte, who just about got run over in the process.
Well, Justin was up there for a while. He was in the top 5, and now he's dropping back to 15.
But like you were saying, I mean, yeah, it's absolutely correct. I mean, the thing is, the reason why they're more inclined on that second and third place to but not the leaders, but technically the rules of iRacing do state that to a point, you are allowed to race to stay on the lead lap. That is well within the rules, so long as you're not taking out the leader in the process. It's typically, a gentleman's rule, though, that after the leader passes, at that point, you just give it up, and anybody else that comes up with you, you just let them through. But, I mean, if it's in a series like this where, you have lucky dog free passes on the line, absolutely, you want to stay on the lead lap with all your might, because otherwise, you don't want to end up getting trapped the lap down, especially if you're fighting with somebody.
Yeah, because that lucky dog could get taken away from you at any time by the leader passing another person. So right now, it looks like Jeff Shute is the lucky dog. But if Travis Manning comes in or passes the 44 of Randy Drumhiller, the 44 of Randy Drumhiller is going to be the lucky dog. So that means Jeff Shute wants to try to stay up there as far as he can to hope he can pass Randy Drumhiller in order for him to be the lucky dog. It's just a cat and mouse game at this point, but we should be seeing at about, I'm guessing maybe 5 laps, Travis Manning will come in and pit. Did you say we already had James Mullins already pitted? I don't think he pitted already, did he? That was John Mullins.
John Mullins.
James. Yeah.
You also had actual Kenny Powell and Greg Wyszynski and Justin Belmonte all come down as well. So about 5 or 6 cars have come down to the lane. Wayne Grossi is in the lane right now as well. So at this point, it's more of a thing where everybody's just kind of coming down one by one at their own leisurely pace. And all these drivers are, of course, losing laps every single time they come on down. They're going to gain them back, obviously, when Manning comes down, but it's a matter of time of when. And at this point in time...
Yeah, Travis is coming in now.
Whoa!
Travis is coming in now, and he almost lost his rear end right there. It looks like... Let's watch James Mullins and see if James Mullins stays out. Justin Levine stays out, and Boyd Hogan stays out, but Boyd Hogan is getting passed by Greg Wyszynski on them fresh tires. You can see how easily Greg goes past Boyd Hogan on those fresh tires. He's just trying to get back up there. And if Greg Wyszynski can get in front of James Mullins in that 6 machine, he'll get one of his laps back. But he is, at the present point, 2 laps down.
Both Chris Johnson and Curtis Sawyer said that they're coming in this time by as well. So more and more cars are coming down to the lane. The current race leader still has yet to pit, and that at the moment is James Mullins, who is still out on the racetrack, and he's officially put Travis Manning 1 lap down as well. Look out, Manning almost comes back onto the white line. That would have been most unfortunate to start your season off. Imagine that. You first race here, you end up getting a speed or unsafe pit exit penalty. That would just be absolutely horrendous, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be crazy. We're watching Travis Manning, our leader before he pitted, come out now, and he is still on the lead lap. No, he is 1 lap down. So all he has to do is make it past the 28 machine of Matthew Wilson and then get past 10 more cars to get past Justin Levine, and he'll be back on the lead. Now, if he does this before Justin Levine and Boyd Hogan and James Mullins and Larry Reed, Chris Johnson, Casey Clark Jr., and Curtis Sawyers all pit, that would be a huge advantage to him. But I foresee within 5 laps, we're going to see these guys pitting. There goes Boyd Hogan, gets passed by Travis Manning. Now Travis has gotten back on the lead lap, so Boyd Hogan, it must have pitted.
I don't know if you saw that as well, but Boyd Hogan has got pretty big damage as well. He is actually not pitted yet. He's still out there, but he's got some significant damage on the right front and the right rear of the car. And I actually just looked back. 10 laps ago, he encountered his own tank slapper on the exit 4, got loose and hit the wall hard. Now he's at risk of overshooting the pits here as he comes in really late. Managed to get a slow down in time, but Hogan is certainly struggling as well, it would seem.
Yeah, and he is right now registered. He is on pit road. He finally pitted. Now he's either got a chance, he's got to get this damage fixed, because if that's messing up his aerodynamics and his airflow traveling across that car, it could cost him the race. So right now, taking an extra 20 seconds to get that damage fixed, put on that hot rod, get 4 fresh new rubbers and a full tank of fuel, that may offer him the ability to get a win.
3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th are all in the pits right now. James Mullins is just passing by them on the main part of the racetrack. We'll have to see
Here comes Larry Reed. When this cycles through, watch how much of an advantage Travis Manning is going to have over 2nd place. I can almost tell you it's going to be a 12 to 13 second gap between Travis Manning and in 2nd place.
Well, not quite as big as you might think, actually. It's only a 7.2 second gap back to James Mullins, who is still in the 2nd position, who now is up 13 spots and is now effectively the hard charger of the race as well. So James Mullins up into 2nd place now, 7.3 seconds behind Travis Manning. So certainly still bigger than before, but maybe not as big as either of us thought it might be.
Yeah, I thought it was certainly going to be 11 to 12 second gap between 1st and 2nd. Travis Manning, when he comes across the stripe this time by, he will be the new race leader again. And James Mullins, as James comes by, he is 7.1 seconds Now let's see, Justin Levine is 11 seconds behind the leader. And Boyd Hogan is now showing, what is Boyd going to be, 20-some seconds behind the leader? No, 17 seconds behind the leader. As they cycle through, that is a huge advantage for Travis. 7-second gap. You can get around this track in roughly about 30 seconds. So he is 20 or 1/5 length of this track ahead of second place. That's a huge advantage. And the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, the only closest are John Mullins and Wayne Grossi for having draft. There is 2 seconds between Justin Levine in the 19 and the 64 of John Mullins, so there's no drafting assistance for Justin Levine. Justin Levine can't give drafting assistance to James Mullins because there's a 4-second gap between them. So unless James Mullins can grab a hold of a lap car and get him some drafting assistance, Travis Manning is going to be in a new zip code before you know it.
Bad news befalling the number 12 machine. He's been in the pits now for well over a minute now, so it seems like just now he's getting released, but that was a very, very long time to be sitting in the pit box for, so something must have happened. I wonder if it might have been some kind of speeding penalty. Probably not an entry, though, because he was well below the limit on entry, so something has happened there to him.
Yeah, we've got to the leader, Travis Manning. He's on the bumper of the 69 machine of Steve Gothard and the 2 machine of Greg Wachinski. Now, Greg started out in the 3rd position here, and he is falling back to about being a lap down. And Greg has now moved himself into 11th position. But they're both about to go a lap down here. They're fighting for a position. And this is bad. Travis is seeing this in front of him, and he's thinking, oh, I don't want to slow up to take away my gap between me and James Mullins, but I really don't want these guys battling to stand the lead back to wreck me out either. So it's going to be a 3-wide battle. They're 3 wide, and he comes through clean. Travis Manning passes 2 in 1 turn.
Got to make those decisive moves sometimes. Nobody likes to make them. They're usually pretty uncomfortable to make, but sometimes you just have to do them. Matthew Wilson, actually speaking of the battle for 11th and 12th between Steve Gauthier and Greg Wachinski, Matthew Wilson has actually reeled this gap back in as well, as Matthew Wilson now up the inside of Wachinski off of turn 2 down the back straightaway.
Yeah, now the battle for those 3 drivers is the 69 machine of Steve Gauthier. He wants to stay in front of Matthew Wilson in that 28 in the event there's a caution. However, again we say, if the leader gets past this 20 machine of Larry Reed, which he's about 3 seconds behind him, then Larry Reed will be the lucky dog. The gap between Travis Manning and James Mullins has closed up to about 6.5% now, so James is making some headway. He must be catching some draft from somewhere.
No doubt, probably coming from behind the cars that he was. No, actually, no, he's not. James Mullins is just kind of running on his lonesome, so maybe Mullins trying to utilize the draft, not the draft, but the new tires as much as he can. He still is on 11-lap tires, so they still are going to have a small bit of a performance advantage in this way. Might be trying to push them now that they're up to 10th and see if he can get them back, get it back up there as quick as he can.
Yeah, he is doing that. Well, Nolan, we are in the about halfway point here. Why don't we go ahead and pause for a commercial break? And I've just been notified by the broadcaster we have no commercials. We're having technical difficulties, so we are not going to pause. We're just going to keep on rolling through this.
Yeah, these things happen sometimes, I guess. May as well run down to the top 10 at least. Those are the drivers that are still on the lead lap. Travis Manning still up in the 1st position. He got James Mullins in 2nd. Justin Levine hanging around in 3rd on his lonesome. Wayne Grossi in 4th with Boyd Hogan in the 5th position. Hogan still has damage on his car, just keep in mind, and he's about to become under fire from Chris Johnson. Curtis Sawyer is in the 7th position. John Mullins in 8th. Kenny Powell and Larry Reed round out the top 10 and the cars on the lead lap.
And I was just looking at the back of the field. It looks like Stephen James and Christopher Hill have taken their machines to the garage and called it a night. And it may be the only 2 drivers at this present point that they're out of the race.
I know Stephen James pulled it off pretty early. He ended up getting some major contact with a wall off of turn 2 and just couldn't recover the car properly. So he brought it into the pits and it was pretty much done from there. I guess he had too much repairs for the car to be worth fixing before coming back out onto the track.
Now I'm just watching 20 machine of Larry Reed come around the inside of the 24 machine of Kenny Powell, and that is for 9th. So Larry Reed has moved himself back up into 9th, which is a pretty good feat. We have 4 drivers right now in the top 10 who started outside of the top 10. Of course, James Mullins started 15th, and he's now 2nd. We've got Boyd Hogan. He started in 14th, and he's 5th. Curtis Sawyer started 16th, and he's 7th. And Larry Reed, in the 20 machine, he started 17th, and he is 9th.
Kenny Powell is still slowly losing time to the leader behind them. Powell is just now exiting turn number 2. Travis Manning is going to be exiting turn 2 right about now. So by this time, Travis Manning can definitely see Kenny Powell in turns 3 and 4. So he's definitely got a new target in his sights, and it's going to be that number 24 machine to continue to put him, or continue to put more of the field a lap down.
Yeah, he is about 4 seconds behind Kenny Powell. And Nolan, I don't know about you, but I am simply impressed. When I first heard this track and all the changes that took place with iRacing this week, I was certain we would be at caution number 4 by now.
Well, I mean, hey, these guys are good at what they do. I mean, they definitely, they put the skills that they have with these cars, they really put them to work, especially with the new updates and everything like that. We've seen a couple of small mishaps, but, you know, at this point in time, actually, we at this point had more cautions with the old air package that these guys weren't used to in the last race we did here.
Yeah, and I think they were accustomed to them, so maybe they took them and they pushed their cars a little bit more than they're pushing them right now. I can't think back of what kind of times we were running with the old tire package and the old setup package and all that stuff, but I don't believe it was much slower than we're running tonight. I mean, these guys are still turning, 29 and 30-second laps around Las Vegas here.
Actually, a very good point you're bringing up there. I mean, these guys might be driving more conservatively because of just that reason. It's a car they're unfamiliar with, so they figure, well, let's use this race, not really race as hard, get ourselves familiar with it. We can save all the door banging before, the second half of the season or even the first race of the season. This race doesn't really mean anything, so these drivers might just be content to just kind of run around. They're not really going to fight for the win as hard because they realize that this doesn't really count for anything. It's more to just kind of get used to the way the new car is going to be for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and this is kind of like an interview to kind of show some of the returning racers from last season and the newcomers of this season. They can get acquainted with each other and see how they drive and some of their styles and maybe even get some friends and some rivalries going on here. So this is just a simple expedition race, if you will.
Most of the field is completely split up. There aren't really any battles taking place at all at the moment. I mean, Curtis Sawyer has successfully gotten around Boyd Hogan for the 6th position, so Hogan's continuing to drop down the field because of that damage he's got. Everybody else in the top 10, or the only thing they're doing is just continuing to lap cars that are already a lap down from them, so none of them are really close to each other. Really isn't a whole lot of battles going on right about now. This has turned into a very, very calm race.
Yeah, but we have one more pit stop. We have to make, I don't know if Travis Manning can make it to the end. At this point, if Travis Manning he's got to do 55 more laps. If he can run those tires and that fuel 55 more laps and keep the gap roughly about 4 or 5 seconds behind him in the second place, he'll walk away with a clean win. Because the James Mullins is not gaining anything on Travis Manning. If anything, he is losing ground to Travis Manning. Because we were at 7 seconds. He brought it up to 6.1, and now he's back at 6.4. So James Mullins has got some traffic to fight through, which he must have got through that. But James, if you watch him, he's getting a little squirrely with that car. Let's take and follow along behind James here as he goes. Let's watch him a couple laps here. See, the last time he went by, he just, the front of that car seems like it's drifting back and forth. So he's got his hands full right now. I don't know if he made some changes during that pit stop. The The last time he came by the turn 1 and 2, he had that front end go sideways on him, and he had to regroup there. So he lost about half a second on that little mishap right there. Now he's back at 6.8 seconds behind the leader.
Here's the thing, though, is that pretty consistently, Travis Manning has still been just a few... Sorry, check that other way around. James Mullins consistently has actually been a couple tenths a lap faster ever since that pit window. James Mullins has been putting in, you know, mid to low 30 seconds. Now recently just falling back to the low 31-second bracket. Manning has been putting in more to the higher range of the 30 seconds ever since then, and he's recently just dropped up to the 31-second range as well. So he's pulling away now. But James Mullins, at least at the start of that fuel window, he was actually gaining by a significant margin every lap on Travis Manning. It seems like it's now. We'll just have to see, because we are still expecting one more pit stop from all these guys here before the end of the night.
Yeah, saying that, well, let's match the lap times here and see what's going on. Let's jump back from Travis Manning, who last ran a 31.044. Boyd Hogan in the 96 machine just ran a 31.807, so he must have quite a bit of damage. John Mullins, who's sitting in 8th, he ran a 31.323. Larry Reed in 9th ran a 31.353. Kenny Powell ran a 31.602. Curtis Sawyer is in the 6th position, ran a 31.479. Chris Johnson ran a 31.257, and he's sitting in 5th. Wayne Grossi, a 31.217. Justin Levine, a 31.282. James Mullins, a 31.1. So Travis is only like a tenth of a second faster than the rest of the field. Not a huge margin. But that is enough if he consistently pulls that off, as he now has put 7.3 seconds between him and second place. He's going to walk away with this race. We're coming to lap 87 right now. I mean, we have got roughly, what, about 47 laps left of this thing?
48, actually. That was not a bad guess at all. I wouldn't have been able to guess that.
It looks like the leader, Travis Manning, is coming right on the bumper right now of Kenny Powell in that 24 machine. And you should see the courtesy from Kenny Powell staying high. You see, that's just a courtesy thing. The drivers, they don't worry too much about going down a lap. They worry more about staying on the lucky dog position.
I mean, you got to remember as well, for Kenny Powell, he is not racing with anybody. Not to mention, he's got a long way back to second place as well, on the lead lap as well. So this is just certainly that was the right call for him. He did not want to really hold anybody out, because he wasn't going to gain anything. He wasn't going to make Travis gain anything. It just would have been pointless to even try to do it.
Well, Nolan, let's point something out here. I don't want to put a little salt in the wound here, but this is new ground for Kenny Powell. He has now ventured into over 50 laps of a race without any damage on his vehicle.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is all news to him. He would probably like to start this season off, even though in this expedition race, finishing this race without any dings or dents on his vehicle. So he's doing really well, sitting in the top 10.
He's not the only one. A lot of drivers here have got very, very clean cars for today, and that's primarily in part to the fact that, well, there hasn't been any cautions. The only crashes we've had are just little kind of scrapes with the wall, the occasional bump, but there hasn't even been any car-to-car contact with each other. I think that's the most impressive thing about this, really.
Yeah, when they hit the wall, they're able to maintain it. And that might be the new update for my racing. As the leader comes by the 25, puts him down another lap. He is now 2 laps down. As he closes in, I believe that is going to be John Mullins in the 64 a lap down. No, that is not. That is that's a 65 machine. And that is Jaden Profit. Now Jaden Profit is 2 laps down. Yeah, the car control these guys have tonight is pretty impressive. I mean, the changes that iRacing implemented on Tuesday, just a couple of days ago, made it unpredictable. You know, unless you have some extensive hours and laps put into a track with other cars. I mean, these drivers could practice all by themselves, put 1,000 laps on a car all by themselves, and get into a race, and the car act completely different than it did when they was by themselves because of the aero. So we're talking about teams here that probably get together when they're not racing in leagues. They get together on practices and they put 10 cars together and they go out and they draft together to kind of see what they need to do to change their cars to make them react the way they need them to during a racing environment.
It does come down to driver skill, though, too. Don't forget Casey Clark Jr.'s big slide early in the race that he pretty sure it was about 45 degrees sideways of the track, and he managed to recover that. Didn't even need any help straightening him back out. So these drivers, like you said, they are doing a very, very good job tonight at making sure that with this unpredictable car, they just stay nice and clean. Paul Olsen is on the apron in turn 3, I'm noticing. I'm wondering if he's just letting cars through, or is he is coming down to pit lane, it looks like.
Yeah, we definitely are going to give the Code Brown moment to Casey Clark right now, because that definitely, I think he when he came into pit road, he had grabbed a new pair of undergarment, because that was an amazing save. And I could imagine, I'd like to go back and watch the inside of his steering wheel, because I bet there was a lot of seesawing on that wheel to keep that thing, number one, off the wall and off other drivers.
Do what you got to do, I guess. And Clark definitely did what he had to do to make sure that car did not end up in the barrier somewhere. So great job from him. I'm pretty sure that trumps almost every save we saw in the last season as well. That was just something else entirely. Olsen is just exiting pit road, so it looks like pit window started to open up for the final round of stops of the day.
Hey, Travis Manning just clipped the wall a little bit on his right rear there, but he has pulled off an 8-second gap now between him and James Mullins. So if he could just drive his race, there's 8 seconds between him. He is still high. I mean, he just got into 31s. I mean, he's 31.015. He can almost back it up a little bit there and not worry about second place catching him, because second place is falling like a rock. James Mullins is now 8.3 seconds behind him. I mean, from the leader to 8th place, there's almost a 30-second gap. There's almost a whole track distance between him and 8th place.
He really just does need to keep it clean, and then he is going to be able to just run away with this race here and make sure that he could take the first win in one of his first ever starts with us. That would be absolutely fantastic for the 114 machine. Wayne Grossi just completed the 4-tire pit stop as well, and he was on the lead lap, so it would appear that a couple drivers are coming on down to pit road. Greg Wachinski is down to the lane for the second time tonight as well. So yeah, second round of pit stops about to get underway here.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, Travis Manning is 1/4 of this track in front of second place. That's huge.
Yeah, it's a big gap.
That's pretty huge.
When you talk about 9 seconds, it doesn't seem like a lot. In a road course race, that isn't a lot. In an oval race, though, that may as well just be a country mile.
Yeah. Technically, if he can get another 0.3 of a second in front of second place, he could come out 2 seconds behind James Mullins and pass him with fresh tires.
John Mullins is down to the lane, so is Hogan and Joshua Schofner as well. So 3 more cars down to the lane. Hogan locked it up on the way in as well with the right front, nearly overshot as well. More cars are coming down. Kenny Powell is into the lane as well. So now we are going to have just about a third of the field on fresh rubber in just a few seconds' time.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked that Travis does not come in and get tires, because right now, him getting 4 fresh rubber, full tank of fuel, the worst case scenario, he'll come out third. That's how much of a gap he has. The worst case scenario, he would come out third. If he makes his pit stop correctly, pit stops are roughly about 13, 14 seconds. Third place is 16.5 seconds behind him. So if he pitted right now, he's going to come out 4 seconds behind James Mullins with 35 laps to go. And that's plenty of time to gain that 4 seconds back with fresh tires and a full tank of fuel.
Manning stays out one more as Curtis Sawyer comes down to pit lane as well. So Manning continuing to try to see if he can maybe stretch this out. He was just passed by Wayne Grossi in that number 7 machine, who was really looking like he wanted to get around him in a mighty big hurry. So this is about to get real interesting here, because we've seen what late race cautions can do as Larry Reed comes to the lane next.
Yeah, we have 5 cars on the lead lap. 5, no, take that back. 4 cars on the lead lap because Larry Reed just pitted and went down a lap. But James Mullins, maybe Travis is trying to preserve some fuel right now. He thinks he's got a comfortable enough gap, about 33 laps left. He's starting to kind of maybe back it up a little bit, save some fuel. He's got an 8.5 second gap between him. So if he can preserve and save maybe 2/10, 3/10 every lap, slow her down, there's not a simple way for James Mullins to get up to him.
You know what? I think Travis is trying to gamble on a late race caution here. Because now there's just 3 cars in the lead lap. So if a caution comes out now, he's going to come out in third no matter what. There's no way he could come out any lower because everybody else is going to be a lap down. He's trying to, I think he's hoping that somebody's going to crash late here and he's going to get a caution, which will basically secure a podium for him if he doesn't crash out.
Well, his smart move right now, Travis Manning, to guarantee, he could have enough fuel. He could have enough fuel. Possible? I doubt it. His smartest move is to pit now. Worst case scenario, he comes out second place.
Honestly, if I was James Mullins, I would have actually come on down by now because if you could using all that time on fresh rubber to try to run him down. So the fact that James Mullins hasn't come down.
Now, here we go. The leader coming in. Travis is coming in right now. He's in pit road.
Well, too late for James Mullins. Will not be able to go and get the the undercut on him. If I was Mullins, I definitely would have already come on down because that would have meant that you could have used that time to get a couple seconds on him on fresh tires and maybe catch up to him. But now though, James Mullins is stretching it by 1 more, meaning Manny's going to have 1 lap fresh of tires at him. Mullins has shot himself in the foot with that call.
Well, yeah, but Justin Levine just came down pit road too, your 3rd car driver. So Travis is now, he's getting all his tires and he's coming out. He's coming out now. So this is going to leave him roughly about 28 laps. So let's see how far in front James Mullins is going to be of Travis Manning. Now this could be a good or a bad thing. I highly doubt that James Mullins has enough fuel to make it to the end. Could he? Quite possibly. I've seen Boyd Hogan run 100 laps on a set of tires and fuel before and never believed it was possible. I highly doubt it, but it's possible. But Travis Manning also needs to get past all these cars to get to him. As we come across the stripe, we'll tell you how close James Mullins is away from, well, right now, Travis Manning is a lap down. So Travis has to get in front of James Mullins. So roughly, there's about 40 seconds or better from first to second because there's only 1 car presently on the lead lap, and that is the leader, number 6, James Mullins.
Well, in total here, the gap is starting to close. It was at about 33.9 seconds at the top of the lap. In just 1 lap, it's down to 33.2. So Travis Manning, on his out lap alone, is about half a second to 0.7 a second better than James Mullins. That's no doubt going to be about a second a lap figure when he's up to speed, that he's going to be faster than Mullins. So James Mullins, he might be in a little bit of trouble here if he decides that he's going to come down a pit now. Because he's the first car ahead of Manning right now.
You watch the lap times of Travis Manning before he went in and pitted and after he pitted. There's not even 0.3 of a second of a difference. He was running on 50 lap tires. So technically, he just ran a 29.7. It's 0.4. He's 0.4 faster as he comes around James Mullins. So he's going to be right back on the lead lap. Of course, he's still going to be in second place, but he is coming past James Mullins. So now whatever time he can put between him and James Mullins, when James has to pit, that's going to be so much more time that they've got to gain. So if James was smart, he would probably pit right about now, maybe take some outside tires and a splash of gas. I would take maybe 4 gallons of gas and try to finish this thing out so he stays as close to Travis Manning as he can. Because at 30 seconds is the gap between Travis and James, but when Travis is running 31.175s, or James running 30.
James Mullins into the lane.
Yeah, that's smart because he was almost a whole 1.5 seconds slower than Travis Manning. That meant that in 25 laps, Travis would have got him, and there were 26 laps left in the race, so he would have lost. So Now it puts Travis back up there. Interesting thing is going to see how far apart Travis Manning is going to be from second place. See, he just took a splash of fuel, so he's going to save on those tires.
He took left sides. He only took left side tires. He never took rights. How often do you see left sides only on an oval?
I wouldn't imagine that's going to work for him. We're going to see how his car handles here. But he needed to take only 2 tires on that to stay in second place. Let's see how close he's going to be to James Mullins, or to Travis Manning, because Travis is going to have fresh tires now. So I think James was able to pull off, still holding the lead.
Travis Manning did pass him by. The gap is 7.8 seconds back. It's about the same as it was before Mullins came down a pit, or before both came down a pit. It's about the same distance now. James Mullins has got to worry about Casey Clark Jr., though.
Yes.
Behind him. But keep in mind as well, Clark is not yet pitted either. So that's actually another thing I've noticed. Clark and Steve Gauthier, who are both 3rd and 4th right now, they have not yet pitted, so they might be trying to see if they can go the distance here as well and maybe get some high positions here. But I think James Mullins is going to be hammered because this is his first fully up-to-speed lap here. So we're going to have to see what his lap times are in comparison to Manning's. Manning's last lap was a 30.174. Oh, James Mullins with a 30.785. I think it's over.
Them tires are not, I mean, he's half a second slower. Half a second slower. I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, we're talking about Travis Manning turning speeds of 189 miles an hour, and we've got James Mullins turning 183, 184. So there's about 4 miles, 5 miles an hour difference speed between Travis Manning and James Mullins. That 2-tire stop for him and that late stop, I think it might have hurt him.
Well, I think he took the wrong set of tires too. I mean, you never see people taking left sides only on a stock car. It just doesn't happen. It's always right sides or all 4. You know, a left only strategy is almost completely unheard of.
He might have his spring set up differently. He might have a softer right-hand side. You know, he might need those left-hand sides. Or his first pit stop, he's seen his lefts were wearing more than his rights. So he thought, well, we'll just put lefts on there and see what's happening. Is it working out for him? I'm telling you right now, Nolan, it ain't working out for him. He is still more than a half a second slower. There's a 10-second gap almost between the leader, the 114 of Travis Manning, and second place James Mullins. However, James, no matter what he did on his pit stop, he is still 3 seconds in front of 3rd place Casey Clark Jr. in that 8 and 39 machine. So he's still going to get a 2nd place finish.
I'm going to be honest here. If I were James Mullins, what I would have done is I would have tried to get the undercut on Manning, get a couple laps on him on the fresher tires, see if I can maybe overtake him in the pit cycle, then fend him off to the checker flag. But the second Manning came down and Mullins didn't, I think the strategy for Mullins would have been, so long as he had the fuel to go the distance, he should have stayed out as long as he could to try to fend him off and see if he can hold him off the checker flag. He certainly would have lasted a lot longer in the fight than he did. That, or don't wait 5 laps to come down to pit road. He should have come down the very next lap if he was going to try to go for the 2-stop strategy, because he would still have been ahead of him then.
Well, you do know, Nolan, this is Vegas, and we gamble. So think of this scenario. What if James is playing in his mind, we get a caution somewhere around lap 125. Then everybody's going to pit. Well, what does James have to do? He has to pit to get what? Right side tires only. He doesn't have to get all 4. He just has to get rights. And that rights are going to bring him out in front of probably Travis Manning, maybe, unless Travis stays out. He may be gambling. It's Vegas, you know. What happens in Vegas sometimes stays in Vegas. Maybe this is his game plan. Maybe he's rolling the dice to see is there going to be a late race caution here, and when everybody comes in and pits like they will, depending on the laps left, he can come in and just get right sides only and be faster off pit road.
But it's left sides only. That's why I don't understand. Why would you take left sides only? I mean, as long as we're using gambling metaphors, seeing as we are in Vegas, that's like trying to go all in when you haven't even looked at your cards yet. I mean, that's just something that you don't do at a track like this, because I don't know what type of scenario or how wacky you'd have to have your car set up where the lefts would wear out more than the rights, because that's, I don't know, nothing about that made any sense to me.
Well, we're talking James Mullins. James Mullins is...
Oh, hello. Randy Drumiller just went into the pits at about 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, he went right in front of James.
Oh, he actually hit the wall in turn 4 and then just blasted down pit road. So that's interesting for the 44 machine.
Yeah, he almost took out James Mullins on that. He came right across the nose of him. But James has a lot of time behind this wheel. Whatever his strategic plan is, and we will find out when we interview him here in a little bit, in roughly about 13 more laps, something like that. We will find out what his strategy was on the left sides only. But he did not do that by accident. There was some kind of a plan in his mind that this was going to work. And obviously it hasn't worked, because he went from a 7.8 second gap between him and Travis Manning to almost 11.5 second gap.
Yeah, I mean, I guess sometimes you gotta try something new. But it just doesn't always work out that way. I mean, heck, I actually know a story as well in this track actually that happened just a couple weeks ago. I saw somebody come down and try to pit with 7 laps to go, thinking they could run down the leader in just 7 laps time from a lap behind.
Not gonna happen.
Exactly.
Right now our leader is 1/3 of the track in front of second place. More than 1/3. He's closing in on damn near being half a track away. Which means when James Mullins is on the front stretch crossing the start finish line, Travis Manning is in the back stretch halfway down. So he's closing on that. So that is quite humongous feat. And this is the kind of things that could happen when you've got green flag runs like this. I mean, not only do we have drivers going laps down, now we only have 6 drivers on the lead lap. We also have the ability for how well a driver is to get around lap cars to put a gap between the cars behind them that are fighting for positions. At this point, Travis Manning has mastered that, and like we said previously, it may be the courtesy of the lap down cars. They may be pulling up for Travis Manning, and maybe James is having to fight him a little bit more.
Manning just took the 10 to go, while second place of Mullins is still down to turn number 4 as well. So only 10 laps remaining in what has so far been a caution-free race.
Yeah, we'll go by that. Let's go behind Travis Manning in the 114, and we'll see when he goes across the start-finish line compared to when second place does. Okay, so Travis Manning is coming down his front stretch right now. He's coming across start-finish line right about now. James Mullins, he's just coming out of, or he's in the middle of 3 and 4, and he's just coming across the start-finish line now. He's 11.5 seconds behind him. So the only way this is going to close it up is going to be for a caution. Now, Justin Levine in that 19 car is only a second behind James Mullins. So there could be a battle between second and third brewing here in a matter of a couple laps. Does Justin Levine have enough time to get up there? Yes. Does he have the horsepower to get up there? Yes. So I think we're going to maybe see something go on. Now they're running about the same lap time, second and third is with James Mullins and Justin Levine. So the odds of them closing up and for Justin Levine to catch James Mullins is pretty slim. But again, we're in Vegas, so the odds can be rolled against them, and James could make a mistake here on one of his turns, and the gap between them could close up dramatically. So the battle is not going to be, I highly doubt it's going to be for first and second. It's going to be, in my opinion, for second and third. And Justin Levine is closing up. He's only 7/10 behind James Mullins. So he still has 7 laps left. If he keeps closing in even a 10th a lap, he can end up battling for second place.
He was a couple tenths faster than Mullins too on the last run round as well. So Levine is definitely closing the gap, and now Mullins is definitely focusing on defense more than he is on offense. It's 3/10 a lap faster this time for Levine.
Yeah, he closed that gap up to 4/10. So as you watch the 6 of James Mullins, he needs to try to break that draft of Justin Levine, because the benefit is for Justin Levine right now. He has a pulling sensation. compared to James, doesn't have a pushing sensation from Justin Levine. So right now, Justin Levine's car is getting pulled into James Mullins. It's benefiting nothing to James Mullins, and it's allowing Justin Levine to get on the inside. He's on him. Oh, and he's going to try to go high. They're battling for second and third. This closed up real fast. He's losing. Justin Levine took second place, and that quick, it changed hands. And the gap between those guys is just, it's just stretched right out there now. Now, Justin Levine is roughly about a half a second in front of James Mullins in that sixth machine. Now, James, the only way he can lose third position right now is if he took his foot off the gas. Because there's almost a 2-second gap between James Mullins and the 7 of Wayne Grossi. So James Mullins has only got to keep it on the track at the speed he's going right now for another 4 laps. And he's secured a podium position.
Okay, this could end up being like Kansas. You remember how that one turned out last season? We were running green for just about the entire race except for an early race caution. And then 10 feet away from the white flag, we had a caution come out. So we shouldn't count our chickens before they're hatched just yet.
James Mullins is extremely loose. And when I say extremely loose, Justin Levine in the 19 machine is already 2.5 seconds in front of James Mullins. James Mullins is fighting that machine. He is fighting it. He just has to go around Las Vegas another, what are we going, 132? He needs 3 more laps. He just has to make it around 3 more laps without losing control and not losing 10 seconds gap between him and Chris Johnson in that 48 machine. But we missed the battle for Chris Johnson and Wayne Grossi. That battle happened behind us here. And it looks like Chris Johnson moved himself up into the 4th position in that 48 machine. And he is slowly, when I say slowly, he's about 9 seconds behind James Mullins, but slowly closing in on James Mullins. He could quite possibly have 3rd position if James Mullins loses control, gets that thing squirrely, and allows that now 9-second gap to close up into a 3-second gap, 2-second gap.
Travis Manning takes the checkered flag, takes the last lap, and he will win it here at Las Vegas for the preseason race. So Travis Manning winning the first race out. Levine going to manage to get by for second at the line. James Mullins power sliding, drifting off of the final corner. He's going to manage to finally secure, though, the 3rd position.
Whew. James did everything in his power to keep that thing from spinning out. I mean, that was some good driving right there. But yeah, Justin Levine walked about 7 seconds. He not only passed him from 4 seconds back, but came in front of him and gapped him 7 seconds to take a 2nd place. Congratulations, Travis Manning. Travis Manning came across that start-finish line at 12.7 seconds in front of second place Justin Levine. Nolan, let's run through the field for the top 10 because we only had 5 cars on the lead lap.
Travis Manning takes the victory. Justin Levine rounds it off in 2nd. James Mullins in 3rd. Chris Johnson is in 4th. Wayne Grossi rounds out the final cars and the top 5 that were on the lead lap. Curtis Foyer in 6th. Larry Reed 7th. John Mullins 8th. Kenny Powell and Matthew Wilson finishing out the top 10 results for the day.
And finishing out 11th would be Casey Clark Jr., Code Brown winner of the race in that 39 machine. The 69 machine of Steve Gauthier is in 12th. Greg Wachinski in the 13th position. Joshua Stoffner in 14th. Justin Belmonte in 15th. Paul Olson 16th. Jeff Shute 17th. Jaden Profit 18th. Randy Drumhiller 19th. And then we have, it's Jeremy Garrison. It shows 14.619. He finished 20th. Boyd Hogan finished 21st. Christopher Hill finished 22nd. Stephen James finished 23rd, and that rounds out our race running for today. And congratulations to Travis, man. What a phenomenal race. We're going to go ahead and let's see if we can get a hold of maybe our 3rd place finisher, James Mullins. James Mullins, you got a copy?
Yeah, I sure do.
James, it looked like you had a solid 2nd place, but about 10 laps to go, I seen that car heading every which way but loose. What was going on in that cockpit?
Well, I mean, I was like 8 seconds back from Travis, and I've made it work before in like NIS, so I was hoping I could hold him off longer than what I did before he got his lap back. So I took it down pit road and took left sides only and about 6 gallons of gas, and he was just too fast. And I had about 9% on my right rear tire. That's probably why I fell back to third. Probably could have took 4 and finished second, but might as well go for it. It's exhibition race, right?
Well, I know Nolan's got a question for you on that strategy.
What was going through your head when you decided to take the left side tires? Because that is just, it's such an unconventional strategy, and I've personally never seen it. I've seen it attempted once before at a road course. It didn't work so well for that driver. It didn't seem to quite work the best for you here today either. So what made you decide to go for the left sides only rather than the right?
Well, if it had been like, I don't know, 15 laps, I would have been fine. Justin wouldn't have called me. It just, you get to a certain point and you just lose the tires. So it's really, I wanted to go later, but he was so fast I had to come earlier than what I wanted. It would have worked, but if I'd have been a little closer, I might have been able to at least finish 3 seconds behind him.
So your strategy was just to take 2 tires, but you chose the left side instead of the rights.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit more to it. Let's just forget about you guys seeing that tonight.
Well, I know you did something. I'm curious to find out if that's something that maybe I can do in the future. But nonetheless, you finished a great 3rd position. You had about 6-second gap between you and the 48 machine for 4th there, so you were pretty comfortable. You just had to keep it on the track. Congratulations on your 3rd place finish tonight on this expedition race, James.
Yep, good broadcast, fellas. Good win, Travis.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get a hold of 2nd place, Nolan. Justin Levine. Justin Levine, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Justin Levine, this is Al Kozlowski and Nolan Rempel. We're here in the broadcast booth trying to see how you did that 2nd place victory over James Mullins. We were looking at it, and we've seen a 4-second gap, then we've seen a 2-second gap, and then we've seen a pass and a 6-second gap. Walk us through that.
Well, I definitely had to make the car tighter. I was just wrecking loose all race long, and once we got that adjustment in, the car came back to life, and James did his strategy, taking 2 tires, and I was just able to eat him up there.
So you're saying that 4 is better than 2 at this situation right now?
100%, especially when we basically ran out the fuel. I don't know if James did, but I was pretty close. I had like within 5 laps.
Yeah, we seen that, and I was wondering what the fuel strategy was going to be here. And I did, if you listen to the broadcast, I did say it'd be smart for James to take 2 tires and a splash of gas. I never would foreseen that he would have took lefts. I've never seen that done. In watching what happened in this scenario, I don't think I'm going to try those lefts myself. But you had a great 2nd place finish in this expedition race today. You got any sponsors you want to thank, or any drivers? Anybody help you with your setup or anything?
Yeah, as always, I got to thank Boyd Hogan for everything he does for Legacy and everything he does for Reaper Speed Lab. And I got to thank ButtKicker and Abruzzi, and of course you guys. Can't wait to go back and watch the broadcast. Love everything you guys do, and thank Kenny for putting this on.
Well, congratulations on your 2nd place. And I forgot to get James to thank some of his sponsors. He just jetted out of here. He must want to get that car in the garage and get out of Vegas before he spends some money. So let's see if we can get a hold of our race winner. Congratulations, Justin, and welcome to iRacing Stock Car Association's new season.
Thank you.
Travis Manning. This is Al. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Travis, the Miracle Man Manning at Vegas, put all his dice on the table and didn't roll craps and ended up almost 13 seconds in front of 2nd place. What a spectacular show you put on tonight.
I appreciate it, man. You know, had a real rough week this week. Had to close my team down. It was a setup shop, everything. No more than 72 hours ago. Partnered up with DSP and Dan Shamoon, all the guys over there, and we put together an absolute rocket ship. This is unbelievable. I'm honestly lost for words. I would have never thought this would have happened.
So did you? You were here in the broadcast. We talked a lot about how iRacing threw a little hiccup on us on Tuesday with their update and changed everybody's strategy on their setups. Did that affect you pretty bad?
Yesterday, it might be the one time I'm thankful that I was diagnosed with COVID about a week ago, because I was able to spend 13 straight hours just thrashing at it, thrashing, and I ended up finding something with down to the guys last night, and up till 6 a.m. working on it, and this is what we got. It's the build was a huge change for us. It changed the way we had to set the car up completely, and ended up finding a bunch of new stuff, and here we are. I'm honestly still lost at words. I don't have much to say. Just never would have even thought that. We knew the car was good. It's our Atlanta car, and we knew it was good, and I did not think it would ever be a 13-second win good kind of car. I just never. It's unbelievable.
Well, you didn't have much fall off, so you guys did a great job on setting that up. You had very little fall off. I mean, I've seen cars starting this race, running in 30 seconds a lap, dropping down to 31, 32, 33s, and you dropped barely. I don't even think you ever dropped into the 31s. So
there was a point in time where it got into the 31s. It was everyone's saying getting loose, and I think where this car really showed is I was getting tight. By the bottom of the run, I was actually extremely tight, and it ended up being my saving grace by the end of the race.
Well, you did a fantastic job, Travis. You got any sponsors you want to shout out? Any friends you want to tell them to come join the iRacing Stock Car Association now that they see the professionalism of the drivers?
Man, anybody that's watching this, anyone that's ever been in A Open, come here. This is this race right here is the best of the best in the A Open series. It's not going to get any better than this. Competition's levels high, so you can pull one of these, you can steal one of these wins off, and it means a lot. Coming down and thank people. I got Raise Energy on the car. It's the only sticker I got on her this week. So thank Raise Energy for support. Again, Dan, AJ, Jacob, Kyle, all the guys over at DSP. They did so many laps with me last night, and we just collaborated right out the gate. I just started working with them a couple of days ago, and we collaborated right out of the gate. So huge thanks to them, because without them, this car wouldn't be where it's at now.
Well, buddy, if we could see this week after week, I would definitely not go anywhere. I'd stay right where you're at, because they got it going on.
I'm very, very happy right now.
Congratulations, Travis.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for everything you guys did tonight. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, everybody, for making this happen. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you, buddy. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Nolan, any final words, buddy? As I am lost for words. This race was pretty kind of eventful, and I don't know what to say. We had a couple moments where we thought we were going to see some cautions, and that didn't happen. We had a spectacular save by Casey Clark Jr. in that 39 machine. But other than that, any highlights of the race you think were something you want to point out?
I just honestly liked how clean of a start to the season this was. I mean, this was, apart from a couple of clips of the wall, nobody ever really made contact with each other throughout the course of the entire race. I think this was probably, realistically, the best possible way that the new season could have started off.
Yeah, this is absolutely the best. If this racing keeps going on the way it did tonight, where it's anybody's race, we're going to have a spectacular season coming up here.
Indeed, we will. Well, seems like that is, I guess, all the time then that we are going to have for today. So, I have been Ola Rempo with Al Kozlowski beside me, bringing you all the action from start to finish. It feels good to be back for a new season of the iRacing Stock Car Association and the ButtKicker Cup Series. We'll see you all same time, same place next Thursday.
Stay